Electoral malpractice remains a stain on Nigeria's democratic process, and another chapter is unfolding, this time in Adamawa State. Just as the country digests the sentencing of a Uni-Uyo professor for election fraud, attention has shifted to Hudu Yunusa-Ari, the embattled former Adamawa Resident Electoral Commissioner, facing a 6-count charge over his role in the controversial governorship election of March 18, 2023. Yunusa-Ari was suspended by former President Muhammadu Buhari for unlawfully declaring a winner before collation was completed. Now back in the country, the Independent National Electoral Commissioner INEC has urged him to abandon media theatrics and prove his innocence in court. Biko, talk to me. Where and how do you prove your innocence over an alleged crime? Is it through a news conference or through the courts?
He's trying to do it the FCC way.
What do you mean by that?
We know now. You and I know now. At least we've been around long enough to realize that the FCC sometimes thinks that they can win a case on the pages of newspapers.
Media trial.
Media trial. We don't want. Hudu Yunusa-Ari is a coward. He's a coward. He should be ashamed of himself. He's been running away from the courts. He doesn't want to be put on trial. But this is consistent with the antics of people who know that they will ultimately pay for their sins. That professor that was jailed the other day was also running away. The court had to, for him to even come and face judgment, they had to issue, the court had to issue a warrant to go and bring him. For him to come appear for trial, they had to issue a warrant. This was a professor who went and procured a fake medical certificate from a doctor that did not exist here in Lagos at the last suit. Now, Hudu has been running from pillar to post. He does not want to face trial, but he can talk. He can open his mouth and say, oh, look at what he's quoting. He said, whatever I do it within the bounds of the Quran. We have to remember the last day she won the election against Fintri. At the time, after the first, you see, even from after the first round of election, before the supplementary election was called, Fintri had an unassailable lead. I said it that time when we were analyzing that there's no way Binani can overtake Fintri.
Okay.
Yes. I knew that he would not be able to overtake, she would not be able to overtake Fintri because turnout for supplementary elections is always very, very unimpressive.
Compared to...
So if you get a good head start in the main election, you have won. And history will show that clearly. Tambuwal was ahead of the APC candidates in 2019. There was a supplementary election. He couldn't overtake that person. The same thing happened in Adamawa State. The same thing happened in Bauchi State. There was a supplementary election. MA could not overtake Kauran Bauchi, who is the current governor. Bala Mohammed. He couldn't overtake. It looked like it was a narrow margin, but he couldn't overtake in the supplementary election. So, in Plateau too, they couldn't overtake through the supplementary election. This is the trend. And the governor had a hefty lead. Fintri had a hefty lead. Now, Hudu just came, they announced that, okay, collation will start, so time, journalists were waiting. Agents of political parties were not there. The time that they told the world that the collation would start that time had not come. They were still, I think, about 2 hours away or so. Yeah. But this fellow just came with a loose sheet in his pocket and started announcing result.
It is.
And people were like, what's going on? Is this election again? What kind of drama is this? You are not even permitted as REC.
Yeah.
As REC, you are not the returning officer. Yeah. You have no power under the law to take over the job of the returning officer. There's a reason that was inserted into the electoral act. You cannot do it because they know that RECs are permanent in their positions.
Okay.
And by the fact of their permanence or permanency, I don't know which one is correct there, they have access to politicians and all that. But the returning officers are usually ad hoc people.
Okay.
Brought from maybe one university somewhere. So those ones had not been there long enough to fraternize with politicians that much. You now usurp the role of the returning officer. And you started saying that this is the person who won. It's unprecedented. INEC was embarrassed. INEC declared the result that he announced a nullity. Because that can't be backed by law. How can somebody who rose to the level of PAMSEC, an educated person, behave like that? That's what was how Hudu disgraced himself. Now, instead of going to face trial, he's running from pillar to post like a headless hen. He's now saying, this thing is now quoting. Everybody cites the Quran. Everybody cites the Bible. We demonstrate our impotent religiosity when we are confronted with reality. Let him go. All of this Quran that is quoting, let him quote it in the court of law.
Go to court.
Go to court to quote it. Don't give us those claims. Don't give us the drama. We are tired. We are tired. Everybody quotes the Quran. When it is convenient to do that, everybody quotes the Bible. In fact, there are people who are not Christians who can quote the Quran more than Christians. Exactly. There are people who are not Muslims who can quote the Bible more than Christians. So, see, Hudu, go and face your trial. That is what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Yeah, you heard that. But, MJ, we need to go on this break. But when we return, because this man, the suspended Adamawa State, he has continued to stick to his guns. Do you think he's just playing the devil's advocate, or there is more to his statement?
See, this is somebody that should actually bury his head in shame, honestly. In as much as we would have loved to have the first woman governor in Nigeria through the ballot. I mean, of course, Etiaba acted because of the shenanigans that happened in Anambra then. But for Binani, I mean, it was very clear that that election couldn't have been called for her, even whether first or second ballot, because I just checked the results now. 398,000 for Binani and 430,000 for Fintri, the final call, about 40,000 difference. But even before then, the difference was about 35,000. So, I mean, and the total ballots in the areas where they called for a rerun then was about 150,000. But out of the 150,000, only about 70 or 60,000 people had PVC. But then INEC will not base a rerun on those who collected PVC. They will normally base it on the total number of registered voters. So if you come down to the number of those people who had PVCs then, which was just about 70,000, and Binani needed like a 50,000 margin to upstage Fintri. It was almost impossible because from elections in Nigeria, hardly can you get 50% of those who even collect
even in
PVCs.
a major election.
In a major election.
Not to talk of
a rerun. So
people don't come
almost
out for.
impracticable for Binani to emerge. So, and I think I was on the studio then with Jide. We discussed this in that it's almost impossible. And now he came back after he ran away to come and be quoting Quran.
So the best thing is go to court.
Let him go to court and quote the
Quote that Quran in court.
Quote that Quran in court.
Quote that Quran in court.
That's what matters.